Welcome to Mystic Mornings with Amy and Lana, a sacred space for soul-centered women to begin the day with intuition, intention, and a little bit of magic. We are your hosts, energy workers, mothers, healers, and friends, here to share grounded guidance, mystical insights, and morning musings to nourish your spirit. So pour your coffee, light a candle, and join us in the sacred pause. Let's begin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today, Amy?
I'm doing good. Yeah, a little tired after a very busy solstice weekend and music festival, but I'm doing good. I'm feeling very uplifted from the whole experience.
Are you? Did you see any magic?
Oh yeah, lots
Did
of
you?
forest magic. Yes, lots of magic in many capacities.
Oh, that's cool. You want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, so I'm Amy Bolton. I call myself an intuitive wild woman. I've lived my life seeing magic in the forest. I talk a lot about earth magic and those types of things. I'm a mother, homeschool mother, business owner. I've ran my business, Live Healthy, Be Happy, for many years as a health coach. And I started calling myself an intuitive wild woman to encourage myself and others to trust our intuition, because our society is not always set up to do that. So
Totally. We are often told to seek outward for guidance, aren't we?
we sure are. Yes. So it's been a unlearning and relearning process.
Oh, I know. Daily. I'm Lana, and I started Lana's Lantern Intuitive Living in 2019, doing intuitive readings and card readings for wonderful people. And in 2021, I became quite overwhelmed by the energy of the world. There were some weird things happening online, and my guides just repetitively were guiding me to shut my business down and focus on my family. So that's what I did. And then I poked my head out in about 2023 and met Amy, and we talked about the safety, in fact, how it is safe to be open about who we are, truly. So here I am. I've just begun Lana's Lantern again, and I have switched things up to help people to listen to their own guidance rather than seeking out something from me to do it with me. So I'm pretty happy to be doing that. And lanaslantern.ca is where you can find me for working together as a team to listen to your own guidance. So thank you. So, talking about magic and seeing magic. So that's something my husband and I, we have our morning coffee together, and then we'll ask each other that question: what magic have you seen lately? And I love listening to him and his perspective. His magic often involves his work. He builds houses, and he will just marvel at how something just totally came together. He calls it his luck. Oh, just the measurements, everything just fits so perfectly, and it was magical, right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that question. That's so beautiful. Magic comes in so many different forms, right? And we just have to really trust that we'll see that. I always joke around with my husband because I'm like, oh, I want this to happen. And then poof, it happens. And I'm like, wow, that was magic. And he's like, well, I did it. But I'm like, it was still pretty magical at how it just happened.
Totally. So lately, when we're driving together, my husband, I think he's distracted that I'm with him, and he's making these driving errors, right? So he literally almost hit a pedestrian in a Walmart parking lot. I was super rattled. I was like, okay, I need to get in the driver's seat. What's going on here, right? So then we're driving home. He's still driving. And he's like, so are you expecting something bad to happen when we're driving? I'm like, no, you're not blaming this on me manifesting your bad driving. You have to take accountability.
Yes.
It's not logic.
Yes, accountability, authenticity, all the things. So important. Like you're saying, have you switched from people kind of getting the answers from you and get more empowering them to do it, right? And that's a huge step to take accountability for that stuff. Like so easy to just put it out there and blame it on everybody else why things didn't work, right? Versus actually coming back here. And I keep reminding people that too, is in my work is, you know, I'm on TikTok and people constantly come in and they're looking for quick answers. And I'm like, no, come back to here, right? Or when they're asking about the relationships, come back to your heart, come back to your center, ask yourself, trust your intuition versus coming to me to get answers about what's going on out there, right? We have to remember that the power is within our hearts and within us. Yeah, I keep touching my chest as I'm speaking. Yeah.
Because everything is energy, right? So when you're asking outwardly, you're literally tapping into the energy outside of you. And there's so many other filters going on out there. So we want to look into our own filter, into our own energy. And what is that telling us? And then we can hold on to that. It's more, well, we own it. So we can hold it. And it means more to us versus what we get from the outer world's energy.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill that we need to keep working on and harnessing and tuning into. Oh, it's so interesting. When I was working on my workshop a while back, I finally clued in that intuition is in tune when we're getting in tune, right? So it's kind of like a radio frequency, right? Tuning into that radio frequency of our own versus other people's frequencies. So yeah.
What's going on in the last week?
Astrologically, what is going on? So I know Jupiter is fully in Cancer right now. So there will continue over the next, we talked a little bit about this last week, but I know that for sure is expanding. Jupiter's very expansive. A lot of people talk about it as being a good expansion, but it can also, all planets have their higher frequencies and lower frequencies, so they can go in both directions, right? So it can expand negative things as well. So just being mindful of that when it comes to Cancer energies, which are our intuition, but also our emotions and our nurturing, right? So being mindful of what you're nurturing and how much you're nurturing and having boundaries around that, because we can over nurture right now. So that is a really big one. I know Saturn is coming fully through Aries, I believe. I'm going to pull up my astrology while I'm speaking of this, because it's all a lot to be remembering out of your mind. Oh yeah, and the sun was right next to Jupiter, which really expands all that right now as well, right? Because we're definitely right in Cancer season. So the sun really, it's a luminary, right? So the moon and the sun just like expands that. So a lot of people are feeling a lot of that expansion and that shifts when it comes to nurturing and emotions, right? So you're going to see a lot of people not able to balance those emotions. Of course, there's a mosquito in here, right? And what else is going on? Yeah, like I say, Saturn and Neptune have moved into Aries. So that is more of a taking action on your spiritual leadership kind of energy. And depending on where that sits in your chart as well, it can have some different things going on. But lots of leadership around spirituality to keep it in the theme of what we're talking about during our podcast. And it's always so interesting because I can see a lot of people that come to me. There's always these themes when we're doing astrology readings. I did a beautiful astrology reading yesterday. It was a lot of fun. And then, of course, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius. So it's retrograde for a little bit. So we're revisiting a lot of that transformation that's happening within our group. So people have probably been feeling a lot of societal friendship groups shifting and changing and evolving. And it's a lot of changing is happening through that. And that's going to continue. And technology is continuing to change and transform, and not always in a good way. Pluto isn't always good transformation, but we can try and use our free will to change that. So that's kind of a quick little forecast, but there's always lots going on. And to remember that moon is always going around, so it's always changing and shifting. And I remind people that this too shall pass within a day or two. The moon will be in a different spot and it'll shift things. And the planets are always going around. It's not like all of a sudden things are changing dramatically. It's like energies are always shifting and they're always happening, right? So
right. Energetically, I can definitely feel the pulling of a whole lot of energy, like magnetized recently, just actually within the last 24 hours. It's almost like a magnet's trying to connect with you and pull you out into all of these energetic places, because energy likes energy, so it wants more energy. And it's a real concentrated effort to stay grounded and discerning of where you want to actually put your energy. And we can ride any storm. We always can. We're always able to. We always do it, right? We go through really hard times in life and we always get through them. But the more that we can tune in and listen to our own guides, the easier any storm will be for us and those close to us.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, astrology is so unique to each of us, because depending on where your chart placements are and where these planets are passing, it's going to be unique to you and your energy and your connection. So trusting your own intuition, like you're saying, right, is so important, because like with Saturn and Neptune coming into Aries, that can also be struggles with mental health, right? So you'll see people struggling with mental health, struggling with addiction, because that's the more lower frequency. So using that free will to reach out and find that spiritual path, find that spiritual connection, whatever that is to you, because it's so unique to all of us. It's very unique in astrology, right? Everybody, well, it's kind of a similar thread among spiritual paths for many people. It's going to be unique to all of us. And reaching out and finding that way of leading and taking action within your spiritual journey is going to help pull out of that more mental health struggles and those addiction struggles or whatever that people might fall into during this time, that both those planets are sitting right there in Aries, because there's a lot of action happening. That's Aries energy, right? There's a lot of passion around this stuff. And so I always love the phrase, Louise Hay, reach for the better feeling thought, because we always have control around that, right? That's coming back to our power and our center and our hearts, right?
Totally. And thinking about leadership, being discerning in how we're leading. So are we being authentic? Are we leading in a positive manner? That's been coming up a lot lately for me. What space am I in before I'm connecting to others?
Yes.
Because I know my intentions are to only do good. So I need to be in a good place before connection.
I love that. Well, one of my coaches, she calls it heart-centered leadership. And it's so interesting to think about, because that was probably one of my biggest fears of getting out there and getting visible, was making sure I wasn't doing harm, right? And that's why I ended up doing my trauma healing program and my intention was to not do harm as I'm out leading and doing all this. And then I realized there was a lot of work that I ended up doing in the process of it all. But the more we can break open our hearts and actually put the shields down and be vulnerable and show who we are, I think we're going to be more authentic leaders in the process. And that was a huge theme this weekend, as well, as I was with different friends and stuff. And it was so fun, where people can dress up and be themselves and wear the fun clothes. And that was always fun with you, Lana, when I met you, is like just dressing up and wearing the things we want to wear and being who we are and just going out in the world. It's huge. And I've always loved that about yourself, is because you just wear the things and do the things. And you've always inspired me in that regard. So, yeah.
And trusting yourself, right? You have the guidance to do some leading. There's reasons for that. So we might all have our debris that we've got to wade through, but we have a lot to offer, and just trusting that guidance and tuning in and having a good intention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was just thinking that quite often the theme lately, people have been inspired by the stuff that I'm doing. And I keep reminding them that confidence doesn't come first. The action comes first. So just taking that, like, what are the baby steps you can take to start leading and showing people? And we're never really aware of all the people we're inspiring as we're leading and as we're just being ourselves and showing up. But the ripple effect is huge. It really is huge. And so just keep being yourself and showing up and being that leader and taking that action. And with Aries being right where we're talking about the Saturn and this long-term commitment and goal setting around our spirituality and around our goals, it does require taking that action and having that passion and feeling that spark to continue, right? And then confidence comes from there, right? So all these things that I've been doing, I can't say that it's been easy. I've been so nervous and so scared to do it, but I just do it anyways. Like my husband, he was like, you were so nervous before you showed up at that event, Amy. And now you're like, I was just on this high and this joy of just doing the things that I love doing, but showing up and doing it anyways, even if I'm scared, even if I'm nervous and worried about it, I just make it happen and show up. And then I learn, right? We learned so many things. The first event I showed up, I didn't have business cards. Then I came home, I printed them out, brought the business cards the next time, you know.
We are not perfect, right? We just
No.
are not. We're always learning, and that's okay. That's totally okay. I would rather learn from someone that isn't like a cookie cutter, absolutely perfect and polished human, because I don't relate to that.
Yes, we are messy humans. I always say that. We're such messy humans, and that's okay.
Yeah. Totally. Speaking of the spiritual, I've noticed lately that I was tapping into energy spiritually that was making me feel small. And I made a conscious decision to navigate toward what makes me feel myself, makes me feel loved and accepted and worthy, right? I feel that I don't have time to feel small in my world. I have things to do, and I don't need to be distracted by oppression. So that is helpful to me.
Yeah, that's so huge. And it's interesting as you're saying that, I'm thinking of my little skulls that I have here, my crystal skulls. And when last year I went to an event and it was a crystal workshop, and she made it so simple, and she had all these skulls, and I was always so curious why people had crystal skulls. And part of it was to remind us to live every day to the fullest, right? Because what is inevitable for all of us is we will all pass away and perish at one point and go back to the spirit world. So we're only here as humans for this short time. Why not make every day so worth it and be as big as we can and be as authentic as we can and make that energy grow and the love grow and the heart-centered leadership? Just like, I think of an energy workshop I did years ago, and the lady was just getting us to practice expanding our energy out and bringing it back in and expanding it out, and how that feels within our body, right? And like you say, when you bring it yourself so small, you just don't feel as confident and as good. And if we can bring that energy out, and as much as we feel comfortable, it feels a lot better. It does feel a lot better. And these skulls are so neat. They're just such a good reminder to live every day to the fullest and inspire others and just make the world a better place, right? Because we can be so inundated with all this information and social media and news and all those things. So we have to be mindful of filtering that out and taking care of ourselves first, right?
Yeah, that's reminding me of when we're looking for guidance. So I've been trying to share lately that, of course, we tune in, right? We go into meditation when we're asking those big questions. And when you're tuning in, if we could practice to tune in our listening when we start expanding and we feel big and open, versus when we're in this small little area and we just see that mind chatter of the things that are bothering us. And it's just like playing over and over, playing over and over. to listen when we open and we expand. And that's when our own unique guidance is coming in, is when we're big during that meditation.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that way of explaining it. I feel that. Sometimes energy is hard to put into words, right? It's something to be felt. It's so meant to be felt. Even when I'm teaching on sacred spirit plant healing, sometimes it's hard for me to interpret that into words. And that's where I encourage everybody who comes to me to get out and actually experience it and try it and connect with the plants and listen. But that is a part of it, right? You're expanding out and you're connecting with the plant that's in front of you, and you're connecting with the spirit of the plant and allowing the messages to come to you in whatever capacity that is.
Yeah. All of that chatter is silencing when you're connected to that plant, right?
Yeah. I love it.
Me too. I could just talk energy all day long. But so do you see anything specific happening astrologically?
In the next week, well, the moon is going to complete its route through Gemini. So it's amplifying a lot of our voices and our thoughts and our ideas and our identity. The moon is the, like I say, the thing that moves around every 28 days. It is a big catalyst for things. And very shortly here this week, it's going to come up with Jupiter and the sun. So again, like I said, thinking about those emotions, thinking about making sure you're feeling your emotions before you're coming to people, because the sun and the moon will illuminate that. That is going to be huge within this week. And then it's going to, again, with all that nurturing and those types of things, and just focusing on what you value, what you care about. You know, we have Venus in Taurus right now, and we were saying as well, the leadership and focusing on your spirituality to get yourself out of those mental health funks, reach for that better feeling thought, and just taking action on the details of things that need to happen. We have got Mars in Virgo, so just focusing on those little details and the action you're taking. And yeah, it's a good time to just surrender and trust and let the energies play out the way they are, but just by taking care of yourself in the meantime, right? Because things will shift and things will change. And just remember that the moon is always moving. So things will shift if you're having a funky day, because everyone's chart's going to be different. And as the moon comes up and it hits one of those planets in your chart, you might feel something slightly different than I can forecast in this moment, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Energetically, I see quite a bit of fear-based chaos out there in the next week. And one thing my mentor taught me years ago was, if you aren't feeling good, to realize that's not your energy and release it and come back to yourself. So it's just a simple way to navigate the energy over the next little while and come back in.
I love that.
Have confidence in yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lana.
Well, are you okay if we wrap it up?
Sounds great.
Okay, so thank you everyone for starting your day with us. If you felt a spark today having coffee with Amy and I, please tell a friend and subscribe to our channel. It helps our community grow. You can find us at amybolton.ca and lanaslantern.com to keep vibing between our episodes. And we really look forward to seeing you again. Stay soft, stay sovereign, and stay tuned in. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.